It was a quiet afternoon at the elegant Aurelia Hotel, the kind of place where polished marble floors whispered wealth, and chandeliers reflected lives untouched by struggle. Yet, amid the hum of expensive conversations and clinking glasses, stood a shy young waitress named Nora Velen, her hands trembling slightly as she adjusted her apron. She had been working here for barely 2 weeks, invisible among the refined guests who never looked twice at those who served them. But that day, a single moment, a single gesture, would change her life forever, and leave even the coldest hearts in tears. If you believe in kindness, compassion, and second chances, then please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because stories like this one remind us that even the smallest acts can speak louder than words. Nora had always lived quietly. Life had not given her the luxury of noise or confidence. She grew up in a small, struggling household where silence was her shield. Her father left when she was 12, her mother worked double shifts to keep the lights on, and Nora often spent her evenings practicing sign language, a skill she had learned to connect with her younger brother, Eli, who was born deaf. That skill, born of love, sacrifice, and necessity, had always been her secret comfort, a silent world where words could never wound. The Aurelia Hotel was the farthest thing from her world. It was where billionaires, diplomats, and polished heirs came to dine beneath golden ceilings. And that afternoon, Nora was assigned to serve at Table 9, a private setting reserved for billionaire Adrian Cole and his mother, Margaret Cole, a woman of grace, dressed in pearls and quiet dignity. Adrian was known for his brilliance in business, but also for his reputation as cold, precise, and distant. Most of the staff whispered about him, a man who built an empire yet seemed untouched by humanity. When Nora approached their table, her palms damp with nerves, she noticed something that made her pause. Margaret Cole wasn't responding to the waiter's questions. Instead, she smiled softly, trying to read lips. Then Nora saw it, a discreet hearing aid and the way Adrian gently leaned closer to his mother when speaking. Nora's heart clenched. She recognized the effort, the familiar rhythm of someone living between two worlds, one filled with sound and one embraced by silence. Adrian glanced up impatiently, noticing the hesitation in Nora's stance. He expected formality, efficiency, not empathy. But before he could speak, Nora took a small, steadying breath. Then, with trembling hands, she began to sign. Her fingers moved gracefully, expressing what her lips could not. Would you like still or sparkling water? For a heartbeat, everything around them froze. Margaret's eyes widened in disbelief, her hand flying to her chest as if those silent gestures had reached deeper than any word could. Then tears welled in her eyes, tears of recognition, of gratitude, of joy. She signed back slowly, "You know sign language?" Nora nodded, smiling softly, her heart racing. Adrian stared in stunned silence. For years, he had seen the world treat his mother with polite pity or awkward impatience. Waiters avoided her, conversations excluded her, and every dinner outing was a careful balancing act to protect her from embarrassment. But now, across the linen table, his mother was laughing, truly laughing, as her hands moved in perfect rhythm with a stranger's. As the lunch went on, something magical unfolded. Nora didn't just serve, she connected. She signed each question, each menu option, and even shared small, light-hearted signs that made Margaret's eyes sparkle like they hadn't in years. Other guests began to notice, the billionaire's mother chatting joyfully with the shy waitress, and whispers spread through the dining hall. Adrian didn't care. For once, he wasn't thinking about profits or deadlines, he was watching his mother come alive. But for Nora, it was more than kindness, it was memory. As she signed, she remembered Eli, the little boy who used to tug at her sleeve for attention, who had passed away 2 years earlier after a long illness. Her hands moved with both skill and sorrow, expressing words her voice couldn't carry anymore. It was as if, through Margaret, she was speaking to her brother again, one last conversation that the universe had given her by chance. After the meal, Margaret insisted on meeting her personally. Adrian watched as his mother clasped Nora's hands tightly, tears glistening in her eyes. She signed, "You made me feel seen. You reminded me I'm not alone." Nora's lips trembled as she signed back, "You reminded me that love never disappears." The quiet beauty of that exchange made the air around them almost sacred. Later, Adrian called Nora aside. She braced herself for criticism, maybe even reprimand. After all, she had gone beyond her duties. But instead, Adrian's voice was different, softer, uncertain. He told her how his mother had felt isolated for years, even in her own home, and how no one had ever cared enough to communicate with her this way. Then, in a rare moment of vulnerability, he confessed that his mother had taught him the importance of empathy, something he had lost somewhere between boardrooms and business wars. Nora's simple act had reminded him what truly mattered. He asked Nora about her life, and when she mentioned her brother, he understood the depth behind her gestures. Without saying much, Adrian arranged for the hotel to sponsor free sign language training for all its staff, in memory of Eli, though Nora never asked for it. He also offered her a full scholarship to pursue special education, telling her the world needed people like her, people who could bridge silence with compassion. Word of what happened that afternoon spread far beyond the hotel. Guests who witnessed it shared the story online, and soon it became a symbol of quiet humanity, how one shy waitress had done something no wealth or power could buy. She had spoken to a heart without needing words. Margaret often returned to the hotel after that, always asking for Nora, and their friendship became a living testament that kindness, in its purest form, doesn't need sound to be heard. Weeks later, as Nora stood by the window during her break, watching the sun filter through the city skyline, she thought of Eli and whispered a silent thank you. Sometimes, the world tested her with loneliness, but moments like this reminded her that love always finds a way to return, often through strangers who need it just as much as you do. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because the world needs more stories that remind us how powerful kindness can be, even when it's spoken in silence. Before you go, tell us in the comments, would you have done what Nora did if you were in her place?